I just know you're going to love the guests that we have on in this episode, so don't go away. Welcome to the interview. I'm Dr. Rick Waj, and we have once again our dear friends from Israel First, and that is Martin and Natalie Blackham. Hey, guys.
Hi, Rick.
Hi.
Okay, now
How are
you're
you?
broadcasting from the Holy Land, but which part?
We're in the area of Jerusalem,
Okay.
which is central Israel, going a bit south.
On the mountains.
On the mountains.
Israel.
We're
Okay.
on the mountains of Israel, like the Maccabees, yes.
Okay, and I think in a lot of ways you're like the Maccabees. You're presenting the truth and you're standing up against the foes. It wouldn't be the Romans right at the moment, but something maybe similar. What's going on in Israel? Give us an update.
Well, the problem we've got is that the mainstream media is not reporting the news. So there's a lot of news coming out of Israel. For example, the situation with Iran, Prime Minister Bennett visiting Arab countries, which is a good thing, but we're not getting all the news out of Israel, which is a problem because there is a situation here. We have more and more pressure on those people who've decided not to have the injectable, those people who've decided to take control of their health. And what's happened, Rick, is that there's more and more pressure on people to get the vaccine. And the scary thing at the moment is they're starting to do the children. Now, what they're not showing you in the main media, unless you really dig, which is one of the strange things now as journalists, you really have to look into every news source and then go through to the bottom of the story. You can't just speed read it. But what they're doing is they're sending teams into schools, which is quite scary, from the Home Front Command, which is part of the IDF, to what they say, vaccinate, to give this experimental gene therapy injectable to children.
Okay, Martin, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I have two questions. So, number one, do they have to get parental permission to do this? Number two, what are the age groups that now they're giving the jab to?
Yes, I mean, in theory, they have to have permission.
But now they are going directly to schools.
Right.
And so they are not sure that they are going. Sometimes they can say to children, and it happens already, that the children coming back home having the vaccine. So we know some people now who are free of this injection, and parents and grandparents who are saying, now we are going to stand in the school to make sure that if the children know that something is wrong, they know that there is a parent who is free of this injection, and they can run to him and say, now, to have somebody where they can run to and they feel that they are safe.
Right.
Can you believe that for the children? Is from 5 to 11 years old.
And these people will stand in the school, near the school grounds, in the school area, to be available for children. But it's not clear. You know, you're right. They should have parental permission every time.
Written.
But we're hearing stories where they haven't had parental permission and they're going ahead. It's just, and because they're inside the school, Rick, they're not just doing, and because they're part of the army, it isn't a nice thing happening at all in Israel at the moment.
Excuse me.
So that is something that's happening across the country.
And the Prime Minister Bennett took his son, who is 8 years old, and he's done like a video with a nurse who was doing the.
Excuse me, and could you go back to and the Prime Minister Bennett? Could you say that?
Yes. So the Prime Minister Bennett took his son, who is 8 years old, and he makes sure that he had the jab in front of the camera, and that the little boy was speaking to the people, saying, "Oh, it's okay, it doesn't hurt." I'm all right. And by the way, I heard today that this little boy had COVID. He had the virus, and he should not have the vaccination. I mean the injection, and it's been done anyway because Bennett wanted to have an example of this child who was going to have the injection. I mean, they are going to such a high level now, and the Ministry of Health say no, you should not have the injection if you had COVID.
Yeah, and
for a child who was 8 years old. So it's
well, and here. So I have two things to comment on. One, here they've also been promoting children being vaccinated on Sesame Street. That is just, it infuriates me. It really, really does. The second thing is that it seems now that instead of our elected officials being subject to the people, the voice of the people, following through with what the people have elected them to do, that they're taking it upon themselves to be more top down, telling us what they want instead of listening to the people. And that's happening globally. And it infuriates me. And I guess one more thing I'll say real quick, and that is the idea of that some of the countries are still going along with the Beijing Olympics blows my mind.
Yeah, we know one instance of a member of Knesset, the member of the Israeli Parliament, who went on television live and said, "I'm not vaccinating my children," but this is very rare. And the thing is, the mainstream media will quickly squash those kind of stories. They will just disappear. This is another issue. We can't. You find a great story, and then the next second it's disappeared off the internet.
So that's happening the same way. What is your main social media? Is it Facebook there?
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter. Some people are going on to Gab, but that's quite rare. But
Yes.
Facebook and Twitter and
How about
TikTok,
Rumble?
Instagram.
How about Rumble? Are people going on Rumble there?
Yeah. Yes, Rumble is taking off here.
But Rumble, you can say what you want to say. And the YouTube, you can't, like, again, I was speaking to you about, like I listened this weekend about some doctors in France who were speaking for 24 hours freely. It was just amazing to see that. And they were so encouraged by each other. And it was put on YouTube, and obviously, like a few hours after, it was taken out of the YouTube.
Yeah, we've basically lost YouTube. I think it's gone, and as has Facebook and lots of other social media. So the first big thing in Israel is the vaccination of the children. The second big thing is the airports closed again. On the last program, we talked about the fact the airport had been closed to foreigners because of this alleged Omicron variant, which the South Africans are saying is nothing. Now, what's happened, Rick, is it's been closed for another 10 days.
And in the UK, they had one death that they're blaming on the Omicron variant. One death.
Right.
They're freaking out. How about cancer? How's cancer doing? What about other types of flu? There's a lot of other diseases out there that are killing people.
Right.
Car crashes, on and on and on.
And let us remind all the people that if you use ivermectin, vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, all these things, and if you do it as early as possible, because there is two reactions. There is one, you have the virus first of all, and then you have inflammation. So if you take the medicine, the right medicine, one of them is ivermectin. If you take it straight away at the beginning, it doesn't go into inflammatory reaction, and so you are okay. So it's just crazy. It's like a crazy world.
Well, it's evil because they've closed the airport, which is bad. I mean, there was a lot of people who were looking forward to coming to Israel for the Christmas festivities, and
It's finished.
the hotels here depend on that. The tour guides, the coach operators, the whole tourism industry, and the airline industry. And Bethlehem, which is usually full at this time of year, has very few people, if any. And one of the guys in the shops was saying on the news, he was saying, what's the point in me switching the lights on? There's no one coming in the shop. I'm just sitting here all day and I'm paying for electricity with nobody in the store. So the Bethlehem Square is empty. There are one or two people, but nothing compared. They had I think it was something like over 1 million people visiting Bethlehem in 2019. And now the figure is nearly zero. Bearing in mind, they have to come through Ben Gurion Airport to get to Bethlehem.
Sure.
So it's a big thing. It's like Christmas has been destroyed for them.
Right,
and,
right. And of course, the secularists would love nothing more than to destroy Christmas, any kind of holiday, get people to be so afraid. They're not trusting in God. They're trusting in the government, which, you know, Natalie, when you were talking earlier about ivermectin, you know, it's just important for us to say, listen, you know, you're a viewer on this. We have our opinions. You always go to your doctor. Here's part of the issue. They're not talking about vitamins. They're not talking about alternatives. They have one thing that they're pushing, and that is these vaccines. And so, you know, use your own mind and go to your doctor. And hopefully your doctor is not one of those that are sold out to these large companies, but that's somebody that actually is practicing medicine and wants the best for you as a patient. So, but always, you know, even though we have our opinions on this, folks, you know, go to your doctor, make sure you're being wise, make your own decisions. But Natalie, it bothers me that they have stopped anything outside of what the big government pharmaceuticals are pushing. And that bothers me a lot. And even doctors being fired for prescribing something other than what the big pharmaceuticals are pushing.
Now, there is a lot of people who are finding to find some ivermectin in India. I don't know how it works, but they are doing you can find ivermectin from India. But it's like in France, it's stopped at the border. In Germany, it's stopped at the border. So it's just crazy. But I think last time we were speaking already, you know, there is some Arabs people now working with Orthodox. And it's like we are not in boxes anymore. It's like there is a resistance coming now. And like you have to save your skin. And you have to save the skin of your family, and you have to save the skin of your friends. And I was going to buy some envelopes 2 days ago, and it was a place where the man is Orthodox, and we're chatting a bit together, and he said, it's just unbelievable that people have to lie now, because, you know, for Jewish people, if you are Orthodox, you do not lie. But it's like, do you remember during the war? Is like if you are a Jew and you want to save your skin, you have to lie. You were a Christian,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. And being Christian is the same. You have to lie. And we are coming into this time. And I think, you know, with Martin, we watch a lot of Holocaust films because living here, we say we need to understand how the people, you know, the history and how they suffer, and we need to have compassion and we need to understand, like deeply inside. So we watch a lot of films, but I tell you now, he's giving us some wisdom how to behave and how to be. And he's like, if you have told me that one day I will be in Israel and I'm sorry, I don't trust the government anymore. I don't trust any government anymore.
Well, we're in the same boat as you. We do not trust the government at all. So far, Texas is standing strong. Florida is standing strong. DeSantis. We don't, and I'm speaking for myself, I don't understand this mass delusion going on amongst the governmental leaders that they would just fall in line. I know there are some that are not, but most are. And it feels to me that this is a satanic influence taking place globally, leading us to God is the only one who knows the ultimate outcome of this.
Yeah, and I think that God is really in the midst of it. It's a very difficult situation in Israel, but it's amazing to see that there's a sifting going on. The wheat
Yes.
and the tare. It talks about the wise and foolish virgins, and we've been talking about the wise and foolish virgins for many years, but it seems now we're in this time where there's two streams, Rick, and it's like if you're either in one stream or you're in the other stream, and there's like the gap now is getting bigger and bigger, and we're feeling it here. People are getting together, meeting together, who are of like mind, and believers are getting together who believe the same thing, who are concerned about what's happening and concerned about the injectable, concerned about the government restrictions, because we still have them. It's still very difficult to get into a school. I don't know how Christian parents are managing. It's still very difficult to go out to a restaurant. I don't think you can go at the moment, Natalie. I don't think that's possible. They've got all these. It's in Hebrew, but it says you have to have this pass to go past this point. And they were talking about that, Rick. We've just had Bennett, the Prime Minister, saying on Sunday, big news, that we're all going to have it. The compulsory vaccination, which is in breach of the Nuremberg codes.
Of course. And will they stop everyone from being able to go into public places of business?
Yeah. And they are playing fear. They are playing fear all the time.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, it's just when we receive things every day from the government, being a journalist, and you should see and if you want to go to meetings now, you need to be vaccinated to have your PCR, which is rubbish, and you need to have your mask.
No, is that, Natalie, is that the same for churches?
Now, again, it depends, because a lot of churches, some churches that we know, they say you can be vaccinated.
Yeah, some churches have asked for the green code.
Yeah.
In other words, you have to have a pass. Whether you have to show that or not on the door, I don't know. But we've had reports of people who've been attending church and saying it's enough now. We're not going to go if we have to have this vaccine passport.
And that will pressure the churches into being in non-compliance or shutting down eventually.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see it both ways. I mean, whilst I disagree with it, I can understand that, they are, if it's a government regulation and you want to continue having your meetings, then you have no choice. Yeah. But I still think it's wrong, to force people. But one of the tricks that's been used here, a funny trick, Rick, is that some of the churches have been meeting outside.
Oh, sure.
Have been meeting in open areas, and then they can, you can get together, and you don't have to have a green pass because you're outside you're outside in the open air. But we've got the winter here now, so some of the evenings are a bit fresh to be outside.
Yes, here too. So if you watch Sky News for more than 5 minutes, other than talking about soccer, football, everything is about COVID. And so they're just trying to, I don't know what their motivation is. It appears that everything is fear-mongering. And when you watch the BBC in Australia, when you watch any of these large media corporations, it's always about the fear, and now it's about the Omicron, which is crazy because they've already stated, what was it, in South Africa, right? in South Africa that it had very mild effects.
Yeah.
And so we have a very dear friend of ours who's 93 and who refuses to get the jab. And he's coming out of some kind of a bug. We don't know what it is. We don't care. And he's coming out of it just fine at 93. So, people wake up and stop being afraid. Now, whether you get the jab or don't get the jab, that's your business. But we have to stand up against governments demanding that we do something to our bodies that we're not comfortable with.
Yes. What we need to learn, because slowly, the government have become mommy and daddy, which is not. A government is there to serve you. And you have your family, and you have your social life, and everything. And the government is only there to help the nation. It's not at all to control you. Never, ever is been like that. It should not be like that.
And to carry out the will of the people.
Yes. And if it is, it means that it's a dictator.
Yes.
Dictatorship. Thank you.
Yes.
And so it's like, no. It's like, no. Now I want to show you something, because to look at the good things is like living here in Israel, and we know the prophecy that the Hebrew language will be used again for all the nations, that will have one day a place where we'll praise God and all the nations, and will be echad, will be one together, and all the nations will come here.
Yes.
And Ben Gurion will be very busy, not what they are doing right now. But what I want to show you is what we see right now, we see emet, we see truth, and we see sheker, which is lies. And the Hebrew language is amazing, because you can see by the letters. So this is some of the letters. This is the name truth, and is emet, okay? First letter of the alphabet, the middle one, and the last one. Mm-hmm. The aleph, mem, and ta. And so is emet. Now, which is very interesting also, you can see they all have legs. They are like very stable, okay? And emet will stand. Truth will stand and will be victorious. Now, when you look, and when you look at sheker, lies, you see sheker, so it's shin, kof, and resh. And what do they have? They have only one leg. They are not standing properly. One day or another, it will fall.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for people to know that the truth will prevail. And it might take some time, but we have to carry on, and we have to stand on the word of God, because He's the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very
good. It's only
good.
with the truth. The truth will set you free, not the lies. Like we just had the Prime Minister. I don't want to pick on him, but he just keeps popping up with these news items.
And he's lying through his teeth now.
He said that there were 2 British boys who passed away because of Omicron. Well, anyway, they did some research. The investigators in the United Kingdom looked into these 2 boys and found out they'd both been vaccinated and both passed away suddenly after they'd been vaccinated, which is a very different story from what he was saying. But he said this statement, Rick, and what's quite funny is that the next second the press are saying, well, he made it by error. But it's funny because, normally if you make a statement especially as Prime Minister, it's checked. You have your press department, you have all the people who do your press release. It's checked multiple times, and it's very strange that would just go through.
Well, and was there a correction?
I think they just said it was an error. He made an error. I don't know.
But he didn't correct it.
I didn't hear that he did. No.
Not himself. No. He's too busy right now.
He's very busy.
Yeah. It's very sad. We receive reports every day, as I was saying. And when I read what he's saying, and it's very interesting because I was listening to another doctor who was speaking, that what they are using now is just fear-mongering. I mean, it's like they are taking some very specific tools to make the people being afraid and go into how do you say, like, I mean, it's lies. Yeah, right. It's auto-destruction. They are bringing destruction in the psyche of the people. They're destroying their own people. Like, it is very serious. This is doctors who are speaking about that. It's like, if you carry on like that, and they are saying there is more suicide, and here is just terrible. Yeah. We can see how the people are. Yes. And there is more cancers. There is people who have heart attack. They are in pain. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, what's very interesting is that we're not getting a lot of information, I guess, like in many countries, about adverse reactions. In other words, people who've had the injectable and something happened to them afterwards. Now, Magen David Adom, which is the Israeli ambulance service serving the whole country, has reported that they've had, in the first half of this year, a huge increase in the amount of cardiac arrests with young people, which is unheard of. We've never had that. They've also been putting defibrillators into synagogues
and parks
and
parks for children.
Wow.
So
it's just.
And I said to Natalie, they know what's going on.
And Magen David Adom, because I worked a bit with them, and I know they have always to have statistics and all the things and how many people they treated and all. So you can know. Like, the government doesn't want to say anything, but Magen David Adom know what's happening there.
And the Prime Minister knows, Rick, because as Natalie was saying, we volunteered for Magen David Adom in the past, and we know that the head of Magen David Adom, which was Eli Bin, I believe it's still him, he meets with the Prime Minister pretty much on a weekly, sometimes more than once a week. He goes and actually.
Maybe not. I'm not sure. But when there is crisis, they meet.
They
meet also with the IDF, with the army. So Magen David Adom, the IDF, and the government, they are always working together. So they know exactly what's happening.
Right. All the information is getting out.
They know.
They know what's going on at the top.
Oh my. Well, we could continue this. I mean, this is a very evil generation, and a very gullible generation of people, and a very evil generation of many of the leaders. We're at the end of our show. It's hard to believe it's so fast. We've got to keep doing this and keep updating people on what's going on in Israel and talking about global events. Tell people how they can help you and where they can find you.
Yeah, we very much appreciate the support of our friends and people who watch our program and people who are watching the program today. The website is www.israelfirst.org. There's a donate page. You can click on that, and there's all the information. Our friends at Zion's Bridge are also processing the US donations, and we'll be able to provide you a certificate for tax purposes. If you've got any difficulty at all donating, please contact us and we will assist you. If you'd like to just write to us, then you can get in touch with us at the email address, which is info@israelfirst.org. There's also on the website, there's also a contact box. We're a bit short of staff at the office, so bear with us if it takes us time to get back to you.
Martin and Natalie Blackham, thank you so much with Israel First for all the work you're doing, getting the truth out so that people understand where the stability really is in finding the truth, understanding the truth, following the truth, living the truth, and telling others about the truth of what's going on today. It's going to take all of us working together as a team, crossing over the pond, and standing up against the tyrannical leaders of our age. We have to stay in prayer, and we have to keep hope, because there is a vision for the future, Messiah is the one who will lead all peoples to become one people, and he'll destroy, roll over the governments of this world, and he will bring lasting peace. Sar Shalom. He is the Prince of Peace. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
And thank you, viewers, you're our family. Thank you so much for watching Israel TV Network, for helping support Israel First. They're incredible and in all that they're doing, and they're courageous. As we try to say every few programs, Hazak v'amatz, be strong and courageous, and we'll see you next time. Shalom, shalom.